We'll do it live.
Okay.
We'll do it live. It. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Hey, happy Valentine's Day. If you've got a special someone, why are you on this show right now? Why are you watching this show? No, I'm just kidding. But happy Valentine's Day. I hope everyone is enjoying the day. If you celebrate it, if you don't, it's just another day. It's just another day. This will be a shorter version because I do actually have a date night tonight. So we'll be on for about 30 minutes. I do have an episode that's about to drop. So that way you get a little live, and then I'm going to drop the episode right after. So give me like 5 minutes after this episode ends in 30 minutes. So like 5:35 Pacific, 8:35 Eastern. If that's where you're watching, just wait 5 minutes or so after the show airs, and a new episode will drop. It's all about MAGA. It's all about Megyn Kelly. It's all about the Super Bowl. It's about the shooting that happened today. So I just kind of wrapped that one up, and that one's ready to go. I just got to hit publish. So make sure to look out for that one. It'll be dropping right after this live episode airs. And if you're watching the playback, watch the playback, watch this, and then go watch the episode, or watch the episode, then go watch this, and then, whatever. Anyway, how's everyone doing? How is everyone doing? I see some people in the chat here. What up, Gabe? What's going on? Just want to see how you all are doing. Heart, be my Valentine. All right, so let's get into things. Where do we want to start? Let's talk about Lara Trump, okay? We'll quickly go into Lara Trump, and then we'll come over to some whatever rally that Trump had today, and then we'll talk about the shooting, and if there's anything else you guys want to talk about. Oh, and of course, how could I forget this? George Santos. Don't worry about it. We'll cover all those 4 things, so we'll go through them really quick. All right, so Lara Trump. As we know, Lara Trump has, quote-unquote, gotten the endorsement. She's gotten the stamp of approval from her father-in-law, Donald Trump, to be the chair of the RNC. Now, some people might say, no, that's a terrible thing. We shouldn't have that. We shouldn't allow that. This is crazy. No, we should allow that. The reason, and I even put a tweet in today about that, is I said basically Lara Trump being chosen as the chair of the RNC is like putting an arson in charge of a fire department. And the reason I say that is because you have to remember that Lara Trump stole money, or, funneled money, laundered money, however you want to call it. She redirected money from a dog charity. Let me see if I can pull this up right now. A dog charity. Just, it's just like birds of a feather, right? Like you have to understand that this is the exact type of person that Republicans want. This is the exact type of person that they know they're getting in bed with, because that is Donald Trump. Even though Donald Trump is someone who has a history of conning people, stealing money, not paying bills, fleecing his followers. I mean, we have to remember the big lie. He made $250 million on telling his supporters, his voters, that the election was rigged. $250 million, and drained through it all. And we know that Donald Trump is continuing to fundraise on the witch hunt and the political persecution, the 91 indictments. Every time it's up against him. It's him versus the world. It's him versus Goliath, and then Joe Biden's Goliath, which doesn't make a lot of sense because they say that Joe Biden is weak and Joe Biden is not actually running. Donald Trump says Joe Biden is not actually in control. It's Barack Obama. And then MAGA wants to say that Donald Trump is really, the Goliath type form. He's the one that's really in charge in terms of like being powerful. So their whole argument never makes sense. They say one thing, but then they've also previously said the opposite. It's a party of contradiction. So when we look at Lara Trump being chosen or nominated or whatever you want to call it for the chair of the RNC, we have to remember that everyone knows, everyone is aware of who they're getting in bed with, okay? And the example here that I want to show you is that Lara Trump was linked, okay, to a dog charity, and they funneled $1.9 million to Donald Trump's properties. So I will end up doing a what was that on this because it just has to be called out. This is someone who does shady things because that is the Trump. She got it. Remember, she's not a Trump by blood. She's a Trump by marriage, but she really adopted the Trump principles. No problem. All right. So here we go. Dog charity linked to Lara Trump has funneled $1.9 million to Donald Trump's properties. A dog rescue charity will have spent over $2 million at former President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort by the end of this weekend, according to a Huffington Post article. Trump's daughter-in-law, Lara Trump, is chairwoman of the Big Dog Ranch Rescue. What is it with these people in conning others with dog charities, right? George Santos, who we're going to talk about in a moment, is another one of these people. George Santos was running GoFundMe campaigns, was stealing money from veterans. And then we have this woman who between 2014 and 2021, the organization spent, here we go, between that, 2021 and 2014, 2021, the organization spent $1.9 million at Trump's Florida club and nearby golf course. And the weekend will spend an additional $225,000. Insane. Either we take power back or we will never be free again, Simmons tweeted January 3rd. Of course, this is fucking Jan. 6 people, election to 9 people that are unwilling to accept reality, and they live in some alternate reality somewhere where Joe Biden isn't really president and Donald Trump is the king, and they will, give him all their money. Because remember, Donald Trump fleeces his investors and fleeces and steals money from others. That's just how it is. Remember, he says, I love the uneducated or the poorly educated. That's Donald Trump. But we love the poorly educated, okay? Here, I'll get my hands out. Excuse me, okay? We love the poorly educated, okay? We love the smart people, the dumb people. We love all the people, okay? Poorly educated, I love them. You love them. Out, okay? Just please give me your money. Give me your money. Donald Trump. Donald Trump loves to steal money from people. He loves to con people. You'll know a reference I make in the episode that's going to go live today about a Laura Loomer when it comes to Donald Trump being her icon. Icon people out of money. So that's Laura Loomer, right? So she goes on to Sean Hannity. She's been doing a bit of a press circuit yesterday and today, leading up after this whole Donald Trump, my father-in-law, has endorsed me to be in the nominee for an RNC chair. I mean, we have to remember that previous people who have run for this was Mike Lindell, who is not going to run right now because he's too focused on his lawsuits. But that was someone who previously tried to go against Ronald McDaniel and lost. Here is Lara Trump on Newsmax when asked the question by Rob Schmidt about, and this is directly following the Mayorkas impeachment, which, by the way, we won't even have to go into that, but let me just tell you right now, the Mayorkas impeachment is nothing more than, it's like dressing. It's nothing. It's fluff. It's not anything. It's not no substance, no real value. He showed up today, parked in his parking spot, and went back to work. Remember, impeachments go from House to the Senate, and they're not going to impeach him from the Senate because we have to remember that the Republican Party, which is how they found themselves in this George Santos expulsion and now flipped the 3rd district back, is because Republicans are understanding and finally realizing that their own lawmakers do not know how to govern or are unwilling to govern. That's That is the realization that some of them are having. And I've said this on the show before. I think I said it last week. I said, I'm not going to spend time trying to reach across the aisle and persuade someone and try to get them to change their way or change their opinions are very difficult to change when it comes to people. Very, very difficult to change. It takes a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of effort and resources to get someone who is on the complete opposite end of the spectrum to realize that they're either in the wrong or they've been under Donald Trump, they've been conned or whatever it might be. So I'm not going to spend more time trying to convince those people. It's not worth it. They will find their own way. Okay. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't force them to drink it. So they're going to find their own way. And this most recent special election that happened last night is one of the ways in which they're learning. Again, I'm not going to spend my time. You shouldn't spend your time. We have more productive and more effective things that we can do when it comes to elections and whatnot. We should be educating our own and working with independents. But the people that are on the right, they're going to have to learn on their own. They're going to have to go broke, bankrupt, whatever it might be, lose all faith in their party. They'll figure it out on their own. But there's no reason that we should be spending time to make that effort. They'll if they figure it out, they figure it out. But I'm not going to lose sleep over it. So Lara Trump here, okay, is on here directly after the Mayorkas impeachment, which again is irrelevant. It doesn't do anything. It just shows that the Republicans are unwilling to actually fix the border. Okay, they kill the bill, they impeach Mayorkas. What's their solution? Nothing. Just like healthcare, just like jobs, just like COVID. No solutions. So Lara Trump here on Newsmax talking about this endorsement that was given by Donald Trump, her father-in-law, to be the chair of the RNC.
I talk about what needs to change at the committee to make this party more competitive, because I think after 2022 with those midterms, when that went the way it did, as hated as Joe Biden was, I think we all realize we have a huge problem in the party. What needs to change? And if you get the job, what can you do?
Yeah, well, listen, we need to be playing chess and not checkers. And that's exactly what
Republicans don't know how to play chess. Okay. I mean, let's just be honest with ourselves here. You can see it from the way they handled, again, this Mayorkas impeachment, the way they handled the bill to provide funding and resources to the southern border. All things that Joe Biden was like, yo, if you need help, you need resources, technology, you need labor, whatever it is, I will help you. Give me the bill and I will sign it. And then as soon as he was like, all right, bet, I call your bluff, they were unwilling to work with him. Or they were unwilling to work with him and Democrats. So this whole we're playing chess, we need to play chess, not checkers. They are not even playing checkers at this point. They don't even know how to play Connect Four. These people are so unhinged and disconnected from reality, what's going on in this country, actually representing the constituents that elected them into office. And so now they're like, oh, we gotta be playing chess, not checkers. Wow. Okay. Maybe show up. Maybe show up to do your job. Maybe show up to actually, I don't know, fulfill the promise you made to your constituents. And this is the same type of argument that Marjorie Taylor Greene was making last week, where she was like, oh, they had a strategy. They hid someone. We didn't know. No, they didn't. They didn't hide someone. It wasn't some secret plan. They literally just voted. That's literally how bills go. How are they passed? People vote on them. How are they squashed? How do they not go forward? They get people to vote on them. You have a majority that votes for it or against it. There's nothing innovative or revolutionary about how that is. So they're going to try to paint this narrative of oh, we really got to figure out our strategy, which you have none, but we really got to figure out a strategy here because Democrats are sneaky and they're going to surprise attack and they're not going to tell us stuff. What? So this whole like chess checkers thing that Lara Trump is going to argue for, it's dumb. It's dumb because it's just a lot of talk and not a lot of policy.
We've been doing, unfortunately. And as you just pointed out, the Democrats have been playing a completely different game. We need to catch up and we need to outdo them at that game. We better have at the Republican National Committee.
Again, it's no game. There's no game. We're not playing a game. We are quite literally just doing our job. We propose a bill, we vote on the bill. That's it. There's no game. There's no trickery. There's no magic. There's no illusionist type demonstrations happening before the Republicans on the floor. No, none of that is happening. They're just doing their fucking job. Something the Republicans should do, but aren't doing.
A ground game operation, the likes of which this country has never seen. We better be doing voter registration in record numbers. We also better be doing legal ballot harvesting all across this country because those are.
Hold on. Legal ballot harvesting. There's no. Oh my God. The idea that you would legally harvest ballots, like on its own, when Republicans are like, oh, they're harvesting ballots. Like, okay, you've given this phrase a negative connotation. Now you're saying that it's like mail-in ballots. Okay. They go, oh, we only accept legal mail-in ballots. What other type of mail-in ballots are there? Mail-in ballots were pushed by Republicans. They were the ones that pushed mail-in ballots from the very beginning. Then when mail-in ballots were going against them because there was an overwhelming amount of people during COVID that were going to be using mail-in ballots against Donald Trump. They were like, oh, no, mail-in ballots are fraudulent. It's fake. There's a scam. It's not real. This whole thing is rigged. Remember, Donald Trump said that months before the election. And he was trying to sow doubt in a safe, fair election in 2020. Donald Trump was trying to already plant the seeds of, if I lose, it's not because I lost legitimately. It's because somebody cheated. And that's how Republicans play. They're like, oh, no. I'm the victim. They cheated. I'm going to take my ball and go home. And it's funny that you talked about ballot harvesting because here in the state of California, I believe it was in Southern California specifically, there were drop boxes that were set up by the Southern California Republican Party. And they were illegally collecting ballots. It's not an official drop box where you go there and it's like, oh, scan the QR code. Here are the instructions. Here you go. Boom, boom. It's a secure box. This was a fucking off-brand, non-official or unofficial box that you would drop your ballots in. So when Lara Trump talks about ballot harvesting, legal ballot harvesting, you have to understand that in 2020, the Republican Party was already harvesting ballots. And they were harvesting ballots in unofficial drop boxes. So I don't know how many votes were actually counted or collected or tallied from those drop boxes, but it's something to keep in mind that when they talk about legal ballot harvesting, it's not something, no, that's not a, oh my God. I swear, Republicans are going to give me a fucking aneurysm. The way in which they try to make something real that is not real at all. This is not a problem. In the idea, what they're trying to do here is they're trying to plant the seeds that, oh, just so you know that when we harvest ballots, when we collect them, it's totally legal and it's totally fine because the Republican Party did it. That is what they're trying to do. They're trying to make everyone aware that they're going to collect ballots and it's totally constitutional, even though that's the complete opposite of what they argued in 2020. And that's how you ended up with people outside of drop boxes, militia people who had guns intimidating voters, which again is illegal. I don't have to explain it to people. That's called voter intimidation. You cannot do that. But Donald Trump and the fake electors and these other people, and they were Dropbox. It's like all this coup to try to make people not feel safe when dropping off their ballots, which would only make more people send mail-in ballots, but Republicans never think. So this idea of like legal, no.
Things the Democrats always outdo us on. And let's face it, Rob, we better start telling people to go vote early. We have this notion that it was.
And that's another thing. So Republicans in the past historically have never gone to vote early. They've always done day of. And then what you see is, there's like, oh, is there going to be a last minute flip flop on this? Like, are we going to see a last minute red wave, as they said? That hasn't happened in the last two elections, right? 2022 midterms and 2020, there's supposed to be this red wave, and it never happened. And we'll see it again in 2024. So now they're trying to say, vote early, vote early. We got to play the same game as nobody's playing a game. It's just fucking voting. People go and vote when they can, when it's easy for them, because, and what they're arguing right now, because sooner or later, they're going to get to a point where they say that Election Day is a federal holiday. I guarantee you at some point, they're going to push this idea that Election Day is a federal holiday, which is like, great, awesome. But historically in the past, Republicans have pushed themselves to be against early voting, against mail-in voting, especially recently. And it's all about day of voting. One day you show up. But as we know, historically, that's unfair to people under a certain, low income housing, or people who don't have access to transportation or have jobs that take them the opposite direction of where their polling place is. And let's not even go into the fact that Republicans, or even have to mention the fact that Republicans also use shady tactics that I witnessed firsthand when I was canvassing in Milwaukee during the 2008 election. And they would send pamphlets out in Milwaukee to low-income housing in areas that were, typically Black neighborhoods. They would reprint door slips and say, hey, your polling place is over here. Now, keep in mind, on Election Day, because again, people are working, who don't make a lot of money, are working a lot of jobs and a lot of hours. So they only have a limited amount of time that they will dedicate to going to vote. So on Election Day, they say, hey, my voting place is here because it says on the door slip. So they go to this other place and they find out that that's one, way out of the way, miles away, and two, isn't actually a polling place. So by the time they get there, they realize, well, I can't vote now. I have to go to work. And by the time they get out of work, the polls are closed. That is what Republicans do. It's illegal, and there are groups that still do it today. And that is stuff that I worked in Milwaukee when I was working with the Obama campaign at the local office. That was stuff that they had us go out and canvass, and we had to go and check the door slips for people at their homes to make sure that they actually had the right information and it wasn't swapped out with fake ones, which is so fucked up.
Would be nice if we had one day of voting. I would love that. You would probably love that. We'd love to give people the day off of work, and we'd love to have paper ballots.
I'm just going to point this out. I have not watched this clip yet, and she did exactly what I said. They're talking about one day of voting, even though she's arguing for early voting, but one day of voting, she's talking about making a national. I would like to make it a holiday. I would love to. See how they're changing, because they realize that when their old strategies never work, now they're stuck in a box.
We don't have it right now. So we need to bank enough votes going into Election Day.
Gotta bank enough votes.
We aren't trying to play catch up that day. We know things happen. Look at what happened in Arizona. Here's what I can tell you. The
stuff in Arizona isn't Democrats' fault. That's Republicans. These are people, again, Arizona was the drop boxes were, the people with guns were intimidating. These are not, also, it's like they were intimidating their own voters, Republican voters. It wasn't just Democrats. It was people who also were like, oh, I can't vote. So here, I'm going to go in and drop it off the drop box. And people with fucking guns were on stakeouts.
RNC needs to be the leanest, most lethal political fighting machine we've ever seen in American history.
Good luck with that, because you guys are low on money. And that is all thanks to your father-in-law, Donald Trump.
That is the goal over the next 9.5 months. If I am elected to this position, I can assure you there will not be any more $70,000 or whatever exorbitant amount of money it was spent on flowers, every single penny will go to the number one and the only job of the RNC. That is.
Remember, okay, I don't remember this. She's saying that every penny is going to go to Donald Trump. Now, people need to remember what happened when Donald Trump announced that he was running. The RNC was paying his legal bills. Then Donald Trump said, I'm running. The RNC, Ronna McDaniel, said, okay, well, if you run, we can't pay your legal bills anymore. There's a conflict of interest. We can't do that. And they're like, okay, fine. So he did that. They stopped paying the bills. Now, if she's elected, I guarantee you they will find a way to reroute money, just like she did with the dogs to Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago properties. She's going to find a way to redirect the money to Donald Trump's super PAC or his legal defense fund. I guarantee it. She's going to find a way for the money that come into the RNC. And people also need to realize that Donald Trump is cannibalizing the RNC's fundraising. Anytime some event happens, a town hall, he got indicted or arraigned or whatever it was, or multiple events out there, he is cannibalizing the RNC's fund, okay? Their bank, their vault of money that they have, he's eating away at, because people realize, or don't realize rather, that they should be giving to the RNC or RNC and Donald Trump, but they give to Donald Trump thinking that's all they need to do. So the RNC is losing money because they're not getting the donations that they normally would, because Donald Trump is fleecing all the investors or the voters, and he's stealing the money under other pretenses of like, I'm the victim and you have to give to me. Don't give to the RNC. Don't trust Ronna McDaniel. Remember, they've all been making Ronna McDaniel the target. Vivek Ramaswamy, a target. They were making a target against Ronna McDaniel. And as a result, no one has been giving money to the RNC because they've been giving it to Donald Trump. That is what's been happening. So she's going to have an interesting path forward if she wants to figure this out. But you have to realize that Lara Trump, if given the position as the RNC chair, will direct any and all money to Donald Trump to make sure that he is elected into office, or he is brought in. She's going to help pay off the legal bills and this and that, and going to pay off these debts. I guarantee it. They're going to find a way to redirect the money. She's going to do it. It's going to happen. If she gets into that chair. I don't know who else is running, who else has been nominated, but I guarantee if she gets a position, she's going to do that. The history's there. She's done it in the past. She'll do it again. Okay. One other thing I want to, which also goes into, let's talk about really quickly, George Santos. George Santos has actually done something good. Okay. George Santos has done actual good for this country. Okay. I know that a lot of people are like, oh, George Santos, he's so bad. No. You have to understand there's a silver lining here. George Santos, whether obviously not intended, but people need to realize that George Santos getting into office and being expelled 11 months later actually caused good. And by that, I mean, he was expelled, there was a special election, and a Democrat was able to come back. And the reason is because Republicans from that, Democrats were like, fuck this guy, but also Republicans who saw George Santos, not only his work or lack thereof, but the lack of work and the lack of policy from the Republican Party. They voted against they voted against Philip. So here we have here we go, right? George Santos, they called her George Santos 2.0, and a massive loss for Trump and MAG Republicans. Boom, Democrat wins. He wins. Again, silver lining in this is that George Santos, and it's crazy, he actually taught Republicans a lesson here, and the lesson being for voters, you can't trust Republicans. Republicans cannot do the job you elected them to do. They won't do the job. They don't want to do the job. And so moments like these, because Republicans were even saying, oh, we should not have expelled George. Before this election happened yesterday, I think it was like the last 2 days, they were like, oh, we regret expelling George Santos. Before the election happened, They were walking in super confident that it was going to stay red. It was going to be George Santos 2.0. It was going to stay red. But guess what? It went the opposite way. And what have I said before? What has Tony said before? Midas Touch has said before? Do not trust the polls. You can only trust them to a certain extent, especially when Republicans are blasting them out in your face to be like, look at this poll, look at this poll. Don't trust it. Look at Donald Trump. His entire feed on Truth Social is probably 80% polls of him versus Joe Biden. That's all it is. It's not a good indicator, and you should ignore them. Take them with a grain of salt. If you want to use them in your kind of, mental calculation of how things are going to play out, just know that if Republicans are pushing it really strong, you can probably assume that it's going to be way off. But also, again, these are the same Republicans that said that when it came to states going after or deciding to ban abortion or not, they were going to ban abortion. Well, look what happened. When states were given the choice, they did what the majority of people wanted, not what the minority of Republicans wanted. So again, I guess thank you to George Santos. And I tweeted this last night. I said, I want to thank the House Republicans, and I'd thank George Santos myself, but he blocked me. There was another thing I wanted to talk about really quickly. The shooting. Okay. And I know that the theme of today was, Donald Trump is all alone, because he is. Melania with Donald Trump, she's rarely there, if ever to be seen. We have to remember that Donald Trump, his super PAC, let me see if I can find it. Here we go. This is from last year, but I just want to give you an idea. We already had ideas that they were living in separate bedrooms. She was down the hall. They were not at they were not at events together. She doesn't show up to rallies. She's not supportive of him anymore. She's basically like, I'm going to raise Barron and that's all I'm doing. I'm going to keep with my son. So the reason I made today's thumbnail was because Donald Trump is most likely spending it alone. His daughter Ivanka and his son-in-law Jared, they've distanced themselves for a while now. We saw that after the Jan 6 committee, they started distancing themselves. Melania, she has yet to be seen anywhere, really. They said it was because Melania's mother was passing away, and then she finally passed away. It's one of those things where you have to wonder, like, sure, that's true and all, but Donald Trump could give two shits about these people that are in his life. I mean, look at the way that he treated Ivana. He dumped her in a ditch with a headstone that's got overgrown grass on it on his golf course. What type of person treats family like that? If you treat your ex-wife, you're going to be spending Valentine's Day alone, as much as Donald Trump wants to be spending it with his love, Ivanka. But also, we have to remember that the Trump super PAC paid Melania six figures, $155,000, I think is what it is, to speak at their own house, which is insane. A new report from the New York Times published Thursday reveals, and this is again from last year, 2023, reveals that the top super PAC affiliated with the former president paid Melania Trump $155,000 for a speaking engagement at their own residence. Now, whether you want to say there's money laundering going on, who knows? Could be. Or you could also, there are two things that could be true here. One is Melania hates this guy's guts, and the only way that she would ever speak on his behalf is if they paid her. And two, another way would be if they were trying to launder money, which, again, coming back to Lara Trump here, the dog foundation, right? The funneling money from the dog adoption charity to the Mar-a-Lago properties. They're going to find a way to cheat, okay? Look at the NFTs that Trump did. Look at the NFTs that Melania did. These people are all about grifting and stealing money and redirecting funds to inflate their own value and wealth. And this could very well be another example of that. But I like to assume that Donald Trump is spending Valentine's Day all alone. All alone. Now, the last thing I want to quickly wrap up here is the shooting that happened today. Okay? I mean, Jesus Christ, man. This is whatever the motivations were or the motives were for this. I want to acknowledge the fact that there were, what did I see the number as? Here we go. Shannon Watts, which if you don't follow Shannon Watts, you definitely should. She's an advocate for gun control, against gun violence, school shootings, mass shootings, things like that. Things that you would think that in this country we would be protecting our citizens against, but whatever. She writes over 800 police officers, which again sounds kind of familiar when you remember Uvalde, but over 800 police officers were at the parade today and over 1 million civilians who were allowed to be armed. Remember, open carry, no background check, registration, all that stuff makes it super easy for people to grab a gun and just walk around. Over 800 police officers were at the parade and over 1 million civilians were allowed to be armed. Yet they couldn't stop a dozen people from being shot. More guns make us less safe. That's true. That is 100% true. And there's a video today that shows this exact argument of guns don't make us safer. They make us less safe. And there's a video of, here we go. Now, they say this is what I've seen online. It's been reported that this guy, these two guys or so that tackle this one guy is one of the shooters that they detained. There's 3 people detained. One person died. 12 or so people were shot, I think. Like 3 or 4 I read were in critical condition. So from what I understand, the person they're chasing is one of the shooters or one of the people involved with the shooting. It hasn't been confirmed yet. I saw that they were waiting to hear back from the police. So, all right. So here we go. Look over here. There's a runner, right? Okay. Boom. Ball's right there. Right over here. They tackle him. There's 2 guys right here. This girl, she's going to have they start pulling over the police. They're like, we got him. They're pointing. You got two people, and you got a 3rd guy over here. Got a woman flanking this police officer down. There we go. All right. Cops roll up. And 2 things I'm trying to figure out too is like, is this one of them and the other one was the other? That's what I am unclear about. But it looks like what we're watching, what we're seeing, heroic effort by these people, by these fans, which again, we cannot go anywhere in this country without having to fear that someone is going to pull out a gun and shoot us. We can't go to the grocery store. We can't go to a synagogue. We can't go to a church. We can't go to a rec center. We can't go to a playground. We can't go to a movie theater. We can't go to a goddamn Super Bowl parade. Like the idea that you cannot think of anything that's more American. It's a goddamn Super Bowl parade. People are there. The Chiefs are there. They're celebrating. People are drinking. They're having a good time. I mean, it's just insane to think that somebody, whatever the motive, I don't know yet. I don't know if anyone saw anything about it, but let's see if there's any update on it. But I mean, the idea that somebody would go and shoot people or, whatever it might be, 21 injured, 1 dead is what we've got so far. It's just insane. I mean, people are there just to enjoy themselves. They've been following this team however long, their whole life, and they've been following the most recent Super Bowl champions that they've become. They're setting up a dynasty here. They're just there to have fun. They're there to walk the parade. They're there to wave, get an autograph from Travis Kelce or Mahomes or whatever. Like, they're there to have a good time. You don't go to a parade. It's like in Highland Park in Chicago, on the north side of Chicago. There's a shooting when people are at a parade and they're just trying to have fun. They're there with family and friends and they're all, yeah, we're enjoying this. Why? And instead of doing something about it, instead of making our country more safe by, hey, you know what? We should have gun laws in here that add protection. We should make it more difficult. We should have a certain grace period. We should have background checks. We should have this. We should have a centralized database that's allowing people on one state to access someone over here. These are things that need to be done. And we'd be like, oh, it's the people. It's not the guns. It's the fucking guns. It's the fucking guns. I don't know how many times we got to say it, but it is the guns. It's the guns. It's the guns. It's the guns. Oh, guns don't kill people. No, gun. The gun did. The gun killed someone. Somebody died because of a gun today. Or multiple guns. I don't know. I mean, like, we're still waiting on details. But this idea that a gun makes a country more safe, or we need good guys with guns to protect against bad guys with guns. No. That is not how that works. Throwing a gun in the equation only makes things more intense. It only escalates the situation. It creates something to have even more of a boiling point. It's like you go to a mall and someone's like, "Oh man, I got my gun strapped here." How many people that actually have guns strapped to their holster, right, or their ankle or whatever, actually use their gun in that situation? It's one thing to go to a target range and shoot a person's silhouette, which is already fucked up if you think about it, right? The idea that we're shooting not a target, but we're shooting a person that's a target, kind of messed up if you think about it. I mean, just take a moment to understand. We practice shooting people. That is how we practice our guns. We look at a target that looks like a body and we shoot it. Not like here's a target like you would do with a bow and arrow or something like that. But this right here, the lack of regulation, the lack of laws, the lack of oversight, the lack of background checks, the lack of just empathy altogether is a direct result of the Republican Party. Every time something happens, thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers. Every time something happens, they don't give a shit. They do not give a shit because the NRA gives them money. They pay them. They pay them money to say good things about guns. Thoughts and prayers. Oh, we can't do anything about it. No, you fucking can. You can do something. You pass legislation. You make it more difficult. You require people to have background checks on top of education classes. I mean, you literally make someone, I don't know what it is now, but I remember when I got my license, it was like 30 hours to 50 hours of driving. You had to have your parent or someone who was over the age of 25 or so that would drive around with you to log your hours. You took a class over it. You were in a driving simulator. You went out and drove. You took a test. Then you showed up to the DMV. You took another test because you had to get one for your permit. Then you show up to the DMV. You take another test and you get 3 tries, whether you get it or not. Then you say, okay, time for the driving test. The guy comes out with a clipboard, sits in the passenger seat, and you drive around. He says, take a right here, take a left here, merge on here, reverse here, parallel park, do this. Testing the skills that you have. And we can't even do the bare minimum when it comes to guns. The bare fucking minimum to make sure that people don't die from reckless use of guns or intentional use of guns or domestic terrorism or whatever it might be. Republicans won't do anything. And the one thing we have to remember, the one person who took credit for it, for not doing anything, is Donald Trump. Here's a video. Let me see if I can find it. It just pisses me off. I just can't. Here's a clip of Donald Trump saying, just get over it.
It's horrible to see that happening. That's just horrible. So surprising to see it here. But I have to get over it. It's horrible. I have to get over it.
We just have to get over it. That's how they say it. We just have to get over it. And then here's one that he just made, I think it was last week, where he looks like a fucking rogue.
And when I'm reelected, every single
Every single.
And when I'm reelected, every single Biden attack on gun owners and manufacturers will be terminated my very first week back in office, perhaps my first day. And when I'm
So he wants to make it easier. And the last clip I want to play you is the fact that he said, during my 4 years, I did nothing on guns. So when people go, oh, the blood's on this person's, no, you can look at the NRA, you can look at the Republican Party, but you can also look at Donald Trump. When he willingly, actively says to an audience of people who, of course, are going to cheer him on because two-way, gun rats. They care more about their guns than they do about human lives.
During my 4 years, nothing happened, and there was great pressure on me having to do with guns.
Great pressure was just like, hey, we have a lot of school shootings and mass shootings happening. Maybe we want to like intervene here and try to protect people.
Did nothing. We didn't yield. And once you yield a little bit, that's just the beginning. That's the avalanche begins.
The avalanche begins that you care about people? You care about human life? Again, this is the party of pro-life. And this is what they do. They try to excuse, oh, you have to get over it. Just get over it. It is what it is. It's like COVID. It's like, oh, people die. That's what it is. It is what it is. People got killed by guns, little children. It is what it is. Save the children. No. These people don't care about us. They don't care about humans. They don't care about life. They only care about themselves. They only care about their lobbyists. They only care about the money they're getting from the NRA. And the most they'll do for you is say, thoughts and prayers. That's so unfortunate. Thoughts and prayers. No. They can all fuck themselves. God. So sorry. So sorry. I just had to go on this little rant here because it's just, it's annoying. And I went over what I said I was going to do. But when I saw this happen today, I was incredibly frustrated, as I'm sure you are, because we know that they won't do anything. And then we find out that the House Republicans are like, oh, we're going to go on vacation. We're going on a break right now. We lost our seat. We impeached Mayorkas and there's a shooting. Yeah, guys, see, like times are tough. We really got to take a break. We've done a lot of hard work. And by hard work, I mean no work. So we're going to take we're just going to take a little siesta. That's the Republican Party. And that's the very reason, I just want to point out, instead of people in the House saying, hey, we just lost a seat in New York's 3rd because we didn't do our job, you would think that maybe they would want to stick around and do their job to make sure that people know, like, hey, we're not actually just like snoozing off here. We're not actually just like taking a break on you. We're actually doing our job. No, they won't do that. They're like, we're going to peace out. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. It's crazy. It's insane. Anyway, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. So dumb. Anyway, it's Valentine's Day. I want to thank you all for stopping by. I got to go because I've got dinner plans. I hope you guys have plans. I hope I'm not interrupting your plans. If you did have, dinner plans and you're coming back to watch us in the rewatch, awesome. Thank you so much. Remember, and in the next 5 minutes after we sign off here, I'm going to release a brand new episode of What Was That? So make sure to stay on YouTube. I'll put it in the community. If you're part of my Discord, which, by the way, I recommend you join because we have live chats over there. We have other things happening in the sidelines where people are talking about. If you don't have a Discord, make sure to join. You can find the link in my Linktree at linktree/I'mGabeSanchez or linktree.com/I'mGabeSanchez. You can join the chat over there. If you're on YouTube watching here, make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to share it. Make sure to send it out to people. Get them to subscribe. If you want to join or follow over on Twitch, do that over there. Twitch.tv/I'mGabeSanchez. What else? Also, I want to thank the wonderful moderators in the background making this ship float and not sink. I could not do it without them. And also, if you want to support the show, financially, you want to make a contribution, you can do so here on YouTube. You can do a super chat. You can join as a member. You can join the Patreon, which is patreon.com/I'm Gabe Sanchez. If you just want to do like a PayPal thing, you can do through Ko-Fi, which is ko.fi-fi.com/I'm Gabe Sanchez. Any way you want to support, greatly appreciated. This show runs on viewers like you, kind of like PBS. This show runs on viewers like you, or donations from viewers like you. So I just want to thank you all for showing up today. I know today's Valentine's Day. I hope you go out and enjoy yourselves, have a drink, have a dinner, whatever. Just go see a movie, go live it up. So I just want to say thank you all for showing up today. I will see you tomorrow for Thursday's show. Today's Wednesday the 14th. Tomorrow's Thursday the 15th of February. I will see you then. Adios.